What if I told you that right now, as you're watching this video, there are microscopic alien spaceships floating through your room? What if the very DNA in your cells contains the signature of cosmic travelers that have journeyed across billions of years and trillions of miles to create you? In 2013, astrobiologist Milton Wainwright made a discovery that shouldn't exist. Using high-altitude balloons, he captured something at 25 kilometers above Earth's surface living organisms that couldn't possibly have originated from our planet. These weren't just dead space dust particles. They were complex, structured entities with characteristics unlike anything in Earth's evolutionary tree. The implications were staggering. If life exists in the vacuum of space, then everything we think we know about our origins is wrong. But here's where it gets truly mind-bending. What if Earth isn't the first planet to develop intelligent civilization? What if we're not the pioneers of consciousness in the universe, but the inheritors of a cosmic legacy spanning billions of years? What if the seeds of human civilization, literally, the biological seeds that became us, were planted by travelers from dying worlds, making us the descendants of ancient aliens not through abduction, but through the most elegant delivery system imaginable, life itself? Before you dismiss this as science fiction, consider this shocking fact. NASA has officially acknowledged that life can survive in the harsh vacuum of space. The European Space Agency has proven that organisms can endure cosmic radiation for years. And in 2020, scientists discovered that the building blocks of DNA are spontaneously forming in the cold, dark regions between stars. If you're ready to question everything you thought you knew about human origins and discover why some of the world's leading scientists believe we might be living proof of an ancient cosmic civilization, then smash that like button, hit subscribe, and let me know in the comments what country you're watching from and what time it is where you are. Because by the end of this journey, you'll never look at the stars the same way again. Let's start with a question that should keep you awake at night. How did life actually begin on Earth? And I'm not talking about the sanitized textbook version. I'm talking about the raw, mathematical impossibility of what actually had to happen. Picture this scenario. You're standing in a junkyard and a tornado rips through it. What are the chances that the tornado would perfectly assemble a Boeing 747 from the scattered parts? According to mathematician Fred Hoyle, who calculated the probability of life spontaneously forming from non-living matter, those odds are about 10 to the power of 40,000 to 1. That's a number so large, it makes the total number of atoms in the observable universe look like pocket change. Yet here we are, not just alive, but discussing the impossibility of our own existence. This is where the Panspermia Hypothesis enters the picture, and it's about to challenge every assumption you've ever had about life itself. The word panspermia comes from the Greek words pan, meaning all, and sperma, meaning seed. It's the radical idea that life doesn't originate on individual planets. Instead, it spreads throughout the universe, like seeds carried by cosmic winds. Think of it like this. Imagine dandelion seeds floating on Earth's wind, landing in new soil and growing into new plants. Now scale that up to the cosmic level. Instead of wind, we have solar radiation, asteroid impacts, and gravitational forces carrying the seeds of life from world to world, star system to star system, across the vast emptiness of space. But here's where your mind should start racing. If panspermia is true, then Earth received its first living passengers from somewhere else. And if life could travel to Earth, then life from Earth could travel elsewhere. We're not just talking about the origin of life. We're talking about a cosmic network of biological exchange that's been operating for billions of years. The Swedish chemist Svante Arrhenius first proposed this idea in 1903, suggesting that spores could be pushed through space by light pressure from stars. At the time, it seemed like pure fantasy. How could fragile biological material survive the deadly radiation, extreme temperatures, and crushing vacuum of space? Here's what will blow your mind. We now know it's not just possible, it's happening right now. In 2008, European researchers subjected tardigrades, microscopic water bears, to the full horror of space conditions. These tiny creatures not only survived 10 days in the vacuum of space, exposed to cosmic radiation and solar wind, but many of them successfully reproduced after being brought back to Earth. Let me put this in perspective with an analogy you'll never forget. Think of life as a message in a bottle thrown into an ocean. Traditional biology assumes each beach develops its own unique messages independently. But panspermia suggests that bottles have been washing up on shores across the cosmic ocean for billions of years, carrying messages written by civilizations we've never met, on worlds we've never imagined. And here's the truly staggering implication. If we're the recipients of these cosmic messages, then somewhere in our DNA, in the very code that makes us human, there might be signatures of intelligence that developed under alien stars, in alien solar systems, billions of years before our sun was even born. The evidence for this isn't just theoretical anymore. In 2011, NASA astrobiologist Richard Hoover published findings of fossilized microorganisms inside meteorites, complex structures that appeared to have been alive before the rocks ever reached Earth. These weren't simple chemical patterns that might have formed naturally. These were organized biological architectures that looked eerily similar to known bacteria, but with subtle differences that suggested they had evolved in environments unlike anything on our planet. But wait, there's more. In 2020, researchers analyzing samples from asteroid Ryugu found over 20 different amino acids, the building blocks of proteins and life itself. These amino acids were forming spontaneously in the cold emptiness of space, creating the raw materials for life without any planet, atmosphere, or protective environment. What this means is revolutionary. The universe isn't the hostile, lifeless void we once imagined. It's a vast biological system, constantly creating and distributing the components necessary for life. We're not alone on a rare, precious island of biology in an endless desert. We're part of a cosmic ecosystem that's been alive and thriving for billions of years. Now here's where things get absolutely mind-bending, and I want you to pay close attention because what I'm about to tell you has been hiding in plain sight your entire life. Remember how I mentioned that NASA found amino acids forming in space? Well, that's just the tip of the iceberg. In 2019, scientists made a discovery that should have made international headlines, but was buried in academic journals. They found that the ratio of certain isotopes in Earth's water doesn't match the ratios found in our solar system's formation disk. Think of isotopes like fingerprints. Each star system leaves a unique signature in the materials it creates. Earth's water has the wrong fingerprint. It's like finding a letter in your mailbox, written in a language that doesn't exist in your country, using ink that isn't manufactured on your continent. The implications are staggering. Our water came from somewhere else. And if our water came from elsewhere, what else did? Dr. Chandra Wickramasinghe, who worked directly with Fred Hoyle, has spent decades building the case for panspermia, and his discoveries will make your head spin. In 2001, he analyzed red rain that fell in Kerala, India. This wasn't ordinary rain. It was filled with red particles that looked exactly like biological cells. But here's the kicker. These cells had no DNA. They were biological, but they operated on principles completely different from any life form on Earth. When Wickramasinghe subjected these particles to extreme heat that should have destroyed any known organism, something impossible happened. They began to reproduce. Not just survive, actively multiply. These entities were thriving under conditions that would annihilate every form of life we understand. Let me give you an analogy that will help you grasp the magnitude of this discovery. Imagine finding a car engine that runs on water instead of gasoline, operates in temperatures that would melt steel, and gets more powerful the more you try to destroy it. That's essentially what Wickramasinghe found falling from the sky. But the evidence gets even more compelling. In 2013, researchers at the University of Sheffield sent balloons to the edge of space and found something that shouldn't exist. A microscopic metal sphere with a gooey, biological material oozing from it. The sphere was primarily titanium and vanadium materials that don't occur naturally in Earth's upper atmosphere. It looked designed, engineered, like a tiny spacecraft with a biological cargo. Here's what should make you pause and really think. NASA's Planetary Protection Office exists specifically to prevent contamination between celestial bodies. They spend millions of dollars sterilizing every spacecraft we send into space because they know life can travel between worlds. If government space agencies are taking panspermia seriously enough to base their entire contamination protocols on it, why isn't the general public aware of these implications? The answer might be more disturbing than you think. Consider the ramifications if panspermia is proven definitively. Every religion, every creation story, every assumption about human uniqueness would need to be re-examined. We wouldn't just be sharing the universe with alien life, we would be alien life. Dr. Francis Crick, who won the Nobel Prize for discovering the structure of DNA, became convinced that the complexity of genetic code was too sophisticated to have developed naturally on Earth. In his 1981 book, Life Itself, he proposed directed panspermia, the idea that intelligent aliens deliberately seeded Earth with life. Think about the DNA in your cells right now. It's a 4-letter code A, T, G, C that contains more information than the entire internet. The human genome has 3.2 billion base pairs, creating a storage system so advanced that we've only recently developed technology capable of reading it. Crick argued that this level of sophistication suggests design, engineering, intention. But here's where Crick's theory gets truly unsettling. If Earth was deliberately seeded with life, then we're not just the accidental result of cosmic chemistry. We're the intended product of an intelligence that wanted us to exist. We're living artifacts of a civilization so advanced that they could design life itself. The mathematical evidence supporting this is overwhelming. Information theorist Hubert Yucky calculated that the probability of even the simplest protein forming by chance is 10 to the negative 164th power. That's not just unlikely, it's mathematically impossible within the time frame of the universe's existence. Yet proteins exist, complex ones. Thousands of different varieties in your body alone, each precisely engineered to perform specific functions. The only rational explanation is that the information for creating these proteins came from a source that had already solved the biological engineering problem. In 2016, researchers at the SETI Institute made a discovery that supports Crick's directed panspermia hypothesis. They found that the genetic code itself appears to contain mathematical patterns that are too perfect to be accidental. The arrangement of codons follows numerical relationships similar to those found in advanced computer programming languages. Your DNA isn't just a biological instruction manual. It appears to be a message written in a mathematical language so sophisticated that we're only now beginning to recognize its artificial patterns. What if I told you that the fossil record has been hiding evidence of ancient advanced civilizations for over a century, but we've been interpreting the clues all wrong? Here's a question that should fundamentally disturb you. Why does complex life appear to explode into existence in the fossil record with no gradual buildup? The Cambrian explosion, which occurred around 540 million years ago, shows an unprecedented burst of biological innovation that Charles Darwin himself called the most obvious and serious objection which can be urged against my theory. In a geological instant just 20 million years, which is a blink of an eye in evolutionary terms, virtually every major animal group we know today suddenly appears in the fossil record. Not gradually, not through slow transitions, but all at once, as if someone had flipped a biological switch. Traditional paleontology explains this away by suggesting that earlier soft-bodied organisms simply didn't preserve well as fossils. But recent discoveries are forcing us to reconsider this comfortable explanation. Dr. Graham Hancock, while controversial in some circles, has compiled compelling evidence for what he calls a species with amnesia. His research into megalithic structures worldwide reveals a disturbing pattern. Advanced civilizations appear to have existed during periods when mainstream archaeology insists only primitive hunter-gatherers roamed the earth. Consider Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, officially dated to 9600 BCE. This massive stone complex required sophisticated planning, advanced engineering, and coordinated labor from hundreds of people. It predates Stonehenge by 6,000 years and the Egyptian pyramids by 7,000 years. Yet it was deliberately buried around 8000 BCE, as if its creators wanted to hide it from something or someone. But here's where the Panspermia connection becomes clear. What if these advanced civilizations weren't human at all? What if they were previous iterations of life that had been seeded on Earth millions of years earlier? The Silurian hypothesis, proposed by astrobiologist Gavin Schmidt, asks a chilling question. How would we detect the traces of an industrial civilization that existed on Earth millions of years ago? Schmidt's calculations show that after just a few million years, virtually all direct evidence of technology would disappear, leaving only subtle geochemical signatures. Think of it like this. Imagine archaeologists from the year 5 million CE trying to find evidence of our current civilization. Our cities would be dust, our plastics would have decomposed, our satellites would have crashed back to Earth. What would remain? Primarily unusual concentrations of certain isotopes in rock layers, signatures that might look like natural phenomena unless you knew exactly what to look for. Dr. Jan Zalesevich, a geologist at the University of Leicester, has identified dozens of these anomalous signatures in Earth's geological record. Layers of sediment with isotope ratios that don't match natural processes. Unusual concentrations of rare elements and patterns in rock formations that suggest large-scale industrial activity. The most disturbing discovery came in 2018, when researchers analyzing core samples from the ocean floor found microscopic spherules, tiny glass beads that form only under extreme heat conditions. These spherules are distributed globally and date to approximately 12,800 years ago, coinciding exactly with the end of the last ice age and the mysterious disappearance of megafauna worldwide. Here's what will blow your mind. The chemical composition of these spherules matches what we would expect from high-temperature industrial processes, not natural phenomena. It's as if something was manufacturing materials at temperatures exceeding 2,000 degrees Celsius on a global scale, then suddenly stopped. But the evidence gets even more compelling. In 2020, paleontologist Michael Masters published research suggesting that some alien encounters might actually be time travelers from Earth's future or past. His analysis of reported extraterrestrial anatomy shows striking similarities to predicted human evolutionary developments, but also includes features that suggest adaptation to different atmospheric conditions. What if these beings aren't from other planets, but from other epochs of Earth's history? What if panspermia doesn't just explain how life spreads between worlds, but how intelligence recycles on individual worlds through cosmic cycles? Consider the implications. If Earth has hosted multiple advanced civilizations separated by millions of years, then the current human civilization might be just the latest iteration in a cosmic pattern. We might be living in the ruins of our own future, surrounded by the fossilized remains of intelligence that achieved technology we can barely imagine. The Antikythera mechanism, discovered in a Roman-era shipwreck, demonstrates astronomical calculation capabilities that shouldn't have existed for another 1,500 years. It's a bronze computer that can predict eclipses, track planetary movements, and calculate the timing of the Olympic Games. How did ancient Greeks develop technology more sophisticated than anything produced? Again, until the 18th century? Recent analysis by researcher Tony Freeth revealed that the mechanism incorporates mathematical concepts that weren't officially discovered until the Renaissance. It's as if the creators had access to a knowledge base that transcended their historical period. What if they did? What if certain groups throughout history have maintained contact with information networks that span geological time scales? What if the myths and legends of gods coming from the sky aren't metaphorical, but literal accounts of previous civilizations returning to check on their successors? The implications are staggering. If panspermia operates not just spatially between worlds, but temporally within worlds, then consciousness itself might be a self-perpetuating cosmic phenomenon that transcends individual species and civilizations. You're not just the product of biological evolution. You might be the latest iteration of a consciousness pattern that has been refining itself for millions of years, learning from the successes and failures of previous versions, gradually becoming something that can survive not just in space, but in time itself. Now I want you to imagine something that will fundamentally change how you think about life itself. Picture a microscopic organism, smaller than the period at the end of this sentence, surviving conditions that would instantly kill every form of life we understand. We're talking about temperatures approaching absolute zero, radiation levels thousands of times more lethal than a nuclear reactor core, and the complete absence of water, air, or any energy source for thousands of years. This isn't science fiction. This is tardigrades, and they're rewriting everything we thought we knew about the limits of life. Dr. Ingemar Johnson of Kristianstad University conducted experiments that sound like torture designed by cosmic sadists. He subjected tardigrades to the vacuum of space, bombarded them with ultraviolet radiation, froze them to -272 degrees Celsius, and dehydrated them until they became glass-like crystals. Not only did these microscopic creatures survive, they woke up and started reproducing as if nothing had happened. Let me put this in perspective with an analogy that will haunt you. Imagine a human being thrown into the heart of the sun, left there for a decade, then tossed into the coldest regions of intergalactic space for another decade, and finally waking up refreshed and ready to start a family. That's essentially what tardigrades routinely survive. But here's where the mathematics become truly mind-bending. Dr. Thomas Boothby at the University of Wyoming discovered that tardigrades can survive radiation doses of up to 5,000 gray. To put this in perspective, 5 gray kills a human. 10 gray kills most mammals. 1,000 gray sterilizes medical equipment. Tardigrades laugh at 5,000 gray and ask for more. The statistical probability of this survival capacity evolving naturally is so low that it forces us to consider alternative explanations. Evolution optimizes organisms for their environment, but tardigrades are optimized for environments that don't exist on Earth. They are prepared for conditions found only in the vacuum of space. Why would natural selection produce creatures capable of surviving situations they would never naturally encounter, unless they were meant to encounter them? This is where the work of molecular biologist Dennis Noble becomes crucial. Noble has demonstrated that organisms can actively rewrite their own genetic code in response to environmental pressures, a process called epigenetic inheritance that operates much faster than traditional evolution. Think of DNA not as a fixed blueprint, but as a dynamic software program that can modify itself in real time. Tardigrades appear to have perfected this biological programming to such an extent that they can literally reprogram themselves for survival in any environment. But here's the truly unsettling part. If tardigrades can survive interstellar travel and modify their genetics in response to new environments, then they're not just passengers on the Panspermia, express they're active agents of biological colonization. They're living spacecraft, designed to carry genetic information between worlds and adapt to whatever conditions they encounter. Recent research by astrobiologist Lisa Kaltneger has identified over 1,000 star systems from which Earth would be visible as it transits in front of the Sun. If intelligent life in any of those systems has developed technology capable of detecting atmospheric signatures, they would know that Earth harbors life. The mathematical probability that at least one of these civilizations would attempt to make contact or send biological probes approaches statistical certainty over geological timescales. And the most elegant probe design wouldn't be a metallic spacecraft that degrades over time, but a biological system that can reproduce, adapt, and carry information for billions of years. In 2021, Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb calculated the probability of natural panspermia between Earth and nearby star systems. His findings are staggering. Over the past 4.5 billion years, Earth should have exchanged biological material with dozens of nearby worlds through asteroid impacts and gravitational interactions. This means the life on Earth isn't isolated. It's part of a vast biological network that spans multiple star systems. Every organism on our planet, including humans, carries genetic information that has been tested and refined on other worlds, under other suns, in environments we can barely imagine. Dr. Chandra Wickramasinghe has taken this mathematical analysis even further. His calculations suggest that the probability of Earth being the first world to develop intelligent life in our local galactic region is less than 1 in 10 million. Statistically, we should be inheritors of a biological legacy that includes dozens of previous civilizations. But here's where the math becomes personally relevant to you. If panspermia operates on the timescales and distances that these calculations suggest, then the DNA in your cells has been on a journey spanning millions of years and thousands of light years. You're not just made of stardust, you're made of information that has been refined across cosmic distances and geological time. The implications are staggering. Every instinct you have, every capacity for learning, every moment of creativity or insight might be echoes of intelligence that developed under alien stars. You're not just human, you're the current expression of a cosmic intelligence that has been evolving for far longer than Earth has existed. Consider this. Why do humans have an instinctive fascination with the stars? Why do we feel homesick when we look at the night sky? Why does every culture independently develop myths about coming from the heavens? What if these aren't metaphors, but genetic memories? What if your cells carry information about home worlds that exist beyond our solar system, and part of your consciousness recognizes something familiar when you look up at the stars? Here's what should make you question everything you think you know about yourself. There are sequences in human DNA that have no evolutionary history on Earth. I want you to really think about that statement. In 2010, the Human Genome Project made a discovery that mainstream science has been quietly struggling to explain ever since. Approximately 8% of human DNA consists of sequences that appear to have been directly inserted rather than gradually evolved. These sequences show no intermediate forms, no evolutionary pathway, no connection to any other life on Earth. Dr. John Maddock, who led part of this research, described these genetic sequences as functional complexity that appears to have arrived fully formed. It's like finding a chapter written in perfect German in the middle of a book written in ancient Chinese, with no translation notes or gradual linguistic transition. But here's where it gets truly mind-blowing. These mysterious DNA sequences aren't random junk. They're some of the most sophisticated genetic programming in the human genome. They control critical functions like brain development, immune system responses, and reproductive cycles. Someone or something inserted highly advanced biological software into our genetic code. Let me give you an analogy that will help you grasp the magnitude of this discovery. Imagine archaeologists finding a smartphone buried in a Roman ruin. Not a primitive bronze device that might have been an early attempt at communication technology, but a fully functional iPhone with 5G capabilities and advanced AI software. That's essentially what geneticists found when they analyzed these orphan DNA sequences. Dr. Eugene Koonin at the National Center for Biotechnology Information has identified over 600 protein families that appear in complex life forms with no simpler ancestors. These aren't slight modifications of existing proteins. They're entirely novel biological machines that perform functions no earlier life form could accomplish. The statistical probability of these protein complexes arising through random mutation is so low that Kunin himself admits it challenges the fundamental assumptions of evolutionary biology. His calculations suggest that the origin of the genetic code itself required more trials than there are atoms in the observable universe. Yet here we are, reading genetic code more sophisticated than anything human technology has achieved. Francis Crick understood this mathematical impossibility, which is why he proposed directed panspermia. But recent discoveries suggest the reality might be even more extraordinary than Crick imagined. In 2016, researchers at the European Molecular Biology Laboratory made a discovery that should have transformed our understanding of human origins. They found that human DNA contains what they call evolutionary capacitors, genetic switches that can rapidly activate dormant capabilities in response to environmental triggers. Think of these as biological software patches, pre-installed in your genetic code, waiting for the right conditions to activate. But here's what should disturb you. Many of these capacitors are designed to activate under conditions that don't currently exist on Earth. Dr. Eva Jablonka's research into epigenetic inheritance has revealed that organisms can pass acquired traits to their offspring much more rapidly than traditional evolution would predict. But her analysis of human genetic patterns suggests we've inherited capabilities from environments radically different from anything in Earth's current biosphere. For example, humans have genetic sequences that optimize for atmospheric pressures and radiation levels that don't exist on Earth's surface. We have dormant metabolic pathways that could process nutrients not found in our planet's ecosystem. We have sensory apparatus designs that would be functional under different gravitational conditions. Why would natural selection on Earth produce genetic programming optimized for alien environments? The answer becomes clear when you consider the work of computational biologist Michael Denton. His analysis of protein folding patterns reveals that life operates on mathematical principles that transcend any individual planet's conditions. The genetic code appears to be a universal programming language designed to work across multiple environments, under different atmospheric conditions, with various energy sources. You're not just adapted for life on Earth. You're adapted for life anywhere in the universe that certain basic physical constants apply. Your DNA is cosmic software, designed to boot up and function regardless of which planet it finds itself on. But here's the truly unsettling discovery made by systems biologist Dennis Noble. He found that genetic sequences don't just passively store information. They actively communicate with each other across vast distances within the cell. Your DNA is not just code. It's a communication network. Recent quantum biology research suggests this genetic communication might operate through quantum entanglement effects that transcend normal space-time limitations. If this is true, then the DNA in your cells might be an active communication with genetic networks on other worlds, sharing information across interstellar distances instantaneously. Think about what this means for your sense of identity. You think of yourself as an individual human being, but you might actually be a local node in a vast biological internet that spans multiple star systems. Your thoughts, your creativity, your moments of inspiration might be partly generated by a collective intelligence that includes minds that developed under alien suns. This isn't just speculation anymore. In 2020, researchers at MIT discovered that DNA can store and process information using quantum mechanical effects. Your genetic code isn't just a blueprint for building your body. It's a quantum computer, capable of calculations that our best technology can't match. The implications are staggering. If your DNA is operating as a quantum information processor, and if quantum effects can transcend normal space-time limitations, then consciousness itself might be a non-local phenomenon that connects you to intelligence throughout the universe. You're not just descended from aliens through panspermia. You might be alien, in the sense that your consciousness extends far beyond the boundaries of your individual human body. Every insight you have, every moment of intuition, every creative breakthrough might be you accessing a cosmic database of intelligence that has been accumulating for billions of years across countless worlds. Now I want you to consider something that will fundamentally change how you think about your own mind. What if consciousness isn't produced by your brain, but received by it? What if your thoughts are part of a vast network of intelligence that spans the galaxy, and your individual awareness is just your local access point to this cosmic internet? This isn't mystical speculation. It's cutting-edge neuroscience combined with quantum physics, and the implications will blow your mind. Dr. Stuart Hameroff, an anesthesiologist at the University of Arizona, has spent decades studying what happens to consciousness when patients go under anesthesia. His findings challenge everything we think we know about how the mind works. Instead of consciousness being produced by neural activity, Hameroff's research suggests that the brain acts more like a receiver, tuning into consciousness that exists independently of individual brains. Think of it like this. Your radio doesn't create music. It receives radio waves and converts them into sound. Hameroff's research suggests your brain operates similarly, receiving consciousness signals and converting them into thoughts, memories, and awareness. But here's where it gets truly extraordinary. Hameroff discovered that consciousness appears to operate through quantum effects in cellular structures called microtubules. These microscopic tubes exist in every cell in your body, but they're most concentrated in neurons. And quantum effects, by definition, aren't limited by normal space-time constraints. This means the consciousness you experience right now might be non-local. It might extend far beyond your individual brain, connecting you to intelligence throughout the universe. Sir Roger Penrose, the Nobel Prize-winning physicist who collaborates with Hameroff, has calculated that the quantum processing power in a single human brain exceeds the computational capacity of all the digital computers on Earth combined. Your mind isn't just smart. It's operating on principles that our most advanced technology can barely comprehend. But here's where the panspermia connection becomes clear. If consciousness operates through quantum effects that transcend space-time limitations, and if life has been spreading throughout the galaxy for billions of years, then every conscious being in the universe might be connected through this quantum consciousness network. You're not just thinking your own thoughts. You might be accessing a cosmic database of intelligence that includes every conscious being that has ever lived on any world throughout the galaxy. Dr. Dean Radin at the Institute of Noetic Sciences has conducted thousands of experiments demonstrating that human consciousness can access information beyond the normal sensory channels. His research shows that people can influence random number generators through intention alone, predict future events with statistical significance, and share information telepathically across any distance. These aren't paranormal phenomena. They're natural consequences of consciousness operating through quantum effects that connect all conscious beings throughout the universe. In 2019, researchers at Princeton University made a discovery that supports this cosmic consciousness hypothesis. They found that the quantum effects in the human brain synchronize with quantum fluctuations in the cosmic microwave background radiation, the afterglow of the Big Bang itself. Your consciousness is literally tuned into the fundamental information matrix of the universe. Think about what this means for your understanding of intelligence. Every breakthrough in human history, every scientific discovery, every work of art, every moment of inspiration might not have originated from individual human minds, but from this vast cosmic intelligence network that connects all conscious beings throughout space and time. Nikola Tesla claimed he received his inventions through what he called cosmic intelligence. Albert Einstein spoke of ideas coming to him from beyond his individual thinking. These weren't metaphorical descriptions. They might have been literal accounts of accessing the cosmic consciousness network through their quantum-entangled brains. But here's the truly mind-bending implication. If this cosmic consciousness network has been operating throughout the galaxy for billions of years, then it has accumulated intelligence from countless civilizations across countless worlds. Every problem that any species has ever solved, every discovery any intelligence has ever made, every insight any consciousness has ever achieved, it's all potentially accessible through this quantum network. You're not just human, you're a local expression of a galactic superintelligence that has been evolving for billions of years. Your individual thoughts and insights might be manifestations of cosmic wisdom that transcends any single planet or species. Dr. Rupert Sheldrake's research into what he calls morphic resonance provides additional evidence for this cosmic intelligence network. Sheldrake has documented hundreds of cases where knowledge learned by some members of a species becomes accessible to other members of that species, even when they're separated by thousands of miles with no possible communication. His most famous example involves laboratory rats learning to navigate mazes. Once rats in one laboratory master a particular maze design, rats in laboratories worldwide begin solving the same maze significantly faster, even though they've never been exposed to it before. Information is somehow being shared across space through non-local quantum effects. If this morphic resonance operates within species, imagine how it might operate between species, between worlds, between entire galactic civilizations. Every intelligent species that has ever existed might have contributed to a cumulative cosmic wisdom that you can access through the quantum effects in your own consciousness. This explains why human beings have such powerful instincts for exploration, creativity, and transcendence. We're not just biological organisms trying to survive on one planet. We're local expressions of a cosmic intelligence that has been exploring the universe for billions of years, constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible, always reaching for something greater. Your dreams of space exploration, your fascination with the unknown, your drive to create and discover, these aren't just human traits. They're echoes of cosmic intelligence expressing itself through your individual consciousness, guiding our species toward its role in the larger galactic community. What if every ancient text, every mythology, every religious tradition on Earth contains literal descriptions of panspermia that we've been interpreting as metaphor for thousands of years? I want you to consider something that should fundamentally disturb your understanding of human history. Every single culture on Earth, separated by thousands of miles and thousands of years, independently developed remarkably similar stories about beings coming from the sky to create or educate humanity. The statistical probability of this occurring by chance is essentially zero. Let's start with the most detailed account. The Mesopotamian texts of ancient Sumer, the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Enuma Elish, and the works of the historian Berossus all describe the Anunnaki, beings who came from the heavens to Earth. But here's what most people don't realize. These aren't mythological allegories. They're technical manuals. Dr. Zechariah Sitchin spent decades translating Sumerian cuneiform tablets, and his findings will change how you think about human origins forever. The Sumerian texts describe the Anunnaki as coming from a planet called Nibiru in our solar system. They describe genetic engineering projects where these beings combined their own biological material with primitive Earth life to create modern humans. Before you dismiss this as ancient fantasy, consider this. The Sumerian astronomical knowledge was impossibly advanced. They knew about planets in our solar system that weren't officially discovered until the 20th century. They understood precession cycles that take 26,000 years to complete. They had mathematical systems that we didn't redevelop until the Renaissance. How did Bronze Age people acquire knowledge that required telescopes and advanced mathematics to discover? The answer becomes clear when you realize they weren't Bronze Age people at all. They were the inheritors of cosmic knowledge passed down through panspermia networks. But the Sumerians aren't unique. The Hindu Vedas describe the Vimanas, flying vehicles used by gods to travel between worlds. These aren't vague descriptions of magical chariots. The Vimanas are described with technical precision. Their propulsion systems, their navigation equipment, even their weapon systems. The Sanskrit text Vimanika Shastra provides construction details so specific that aerospace engineers have used them to build working models. Dr. Richard Townsend, a mathematician at Cornell University, analyzed Vedic astronomy and found that ancient Hindu texts contain accurate calculations of planetary distances, orbital periods, and cosmic cycles that weren't officially discovered by Western science until the space age. The Vedas describe the universe as containing billions of inhabited worlds, with life spreading between them through cosmic cycles spanning millions of years. This is a perfect description of panspermia, written thousands of years before the term was even coined. The parallels continue across every culture on Earth. The Dogon tribe of Mali has maintained oral traditions for over 1,000 years, describing the star system Sirius in perfect detail, including the existence of Sirius B, a white dwarf companion star that wasn't discovered by Western astronomy until 1862 and wasn't photographed until 1970. The Dogon claim their ancestors came from Sirius, and they celebrate the orbital period of Sirius B with ceremonies that occur exactly every 50 years, the actual orbital period. How did an isolated African tribe know about an invisible star that required advanced telescopes to detect? The Aboriginal Australians have Dreamtime stories describing the Seven Sisters, the Pleiades star cluster, with astronomical accuracy that matches modern astrophysics. They describe which stars in the cluster are variable, which are binary systems, and even predict stellar evolution patterns that our science has only recently confirmed. These aren't coincidences. They're evidence of a global information network that connected ancient civilizations to cosmic knowledge. But here's where it gets truly unsettling. Dr. Carl Sagan, despite being a skeptic of ancient astronaut theories, admitted that the statistical probability of these universal cosmic mythologies arising independently approaches zero. In his book, The Dragons of Eden, he suggested that human DNA might contain inherited memories of actual contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. Think about what this means. Every religious tradition describing gods coming from the heavens, every mythology about creation by sky beings, every cultural memory of cosmic teachers, they might all be literal. Historical accounts passed down through genetic memory across thousands of generations. The implications go even deeper. Dr. Michael Cremo has documented hundreds of archaeological discoveries that have been suppressed or ignored because they don't fit the standard timeline of human development. Stone tools found in geological layers dated to millions of years ago. Human footprints preserved alongside dinosaur tracks. Advanced metallurgy in archaeological sites that predate the supposed invention of metalworking by hundreds of thousands of years. The evidence suggests that advanced human civilizations have existed on Earth multiple times throughout geological history, separated by cosmic cycles that cause periodic destruction and renewal. But here's the most mind-bending realization. If panspermia operates in cycles, and if consciousness is non-local, as quantum physics suggests, then the ancient gods described in these texts might not be aliens from other planets. They might be future versions of humanity, returning through time to guide their own evolutionary development. Consider this. Every ancient text describes the gods as looking essentially human, but with enhanced capabilities. They're taller, stronger, more intelligent, and technologically advanced, but fundamentally recognizable as human-type beings. This isn't what we'd expect if they were aliens from other worlds, but it's exactly what we'd expect if they were evolved humans from our own future. The Hindu concept of cosmic cycles describes time as circular rather than linear. The Vedas speak of consciousness that can move freely through time, experiencing past and future simultaneously. The Mayan calendar system tracked cosmic cycles spanning millions of years. as if time itself operates in predictable patterns that conscious beings can navigate. What if these ancient texts aren't describing linear history, but cyclical processes where consciousness transcends normal temporal limitations? What if the beings who seeded Earth with life weren't aliens from other planets, but evolved humans from other time periods, working to ensure their own existence through cosmic cycles? This would explain why ancient wisdom traditions consistently describe reality as an illusion, time is circular, and consciousness as eternal. They're not philosophical concepts, they're technical descriptions of how panspermia actually operates through both space and time. You're not just the descendant of cosmic travelers. You might be the ancestor of the cosmic travelers. The gods described in ancient texts might be you, evolved through millions of years and returning to guide your own development through the panspermia network that transcends both space and time. Every moment of inspiration you experience, every breakthrough in understanding, every instinct that guides you toward something greater. It might be your own future self, reaching back through the cosmic consciousness network to help you become who you're destined to be. Now here's where this story takes a darker turn, and I need you to pay very close attention, because what I'm about to reveal will change how you view government institutions forever. The evidence for panspermia isn't just overwhelming, it's been systematically suppressed by a coordinated effort involving multiple governments, scientific institutions, and media organizations. This isn't conspiracy theory paranoia. This is documented fact, and the paper trail will shock you. In 1953, the CIA established what they called the Robertson Panel, officially tasked with investigating UFO reports. But according to declassified documents released through the Freedom of Information Act, their real purpose was something far more sinister: to debunk, ridicule, and suppress any evidence that might suggest Earth has been visited by extraterrestrial intelligence. Dr. Jacques Vallée, a computer scientist who worked with the U.S. military on Project Blue Book, has revealed that his team was instructed to classify cases as explained, even when they clearly weren't. Any evidence suggesting advanced technology of non-human origin was to be buried, regardless of scientific merit. But here's what should really disturb you. The same institutional forces that suppress UFO evidence have been actively suppressing panspermia research for decades. Dr. Chandra Wickramasinghe discovered this firsthand when his research into cosmic biology was systematically blocked from major scientific journals. Despite having over 350 peer-reviewed publications and decades of experience, his papers on panspermia were consistently rejected not on scientific grounds, but because they challenged established paradigms. In 2001, when Wickramasinghe published evidence of biological organisms in meteorites, the journal Nature refused to publish his findings. When he presented evidence of living cells in space, Science magazine wouldn't even review his research. When he documented red rain containing unknown biological entities, every major scientific publication ignored his work. This wasn't scientific skepticism. This was institutional censorship. The pattern becomes even more disturbing when you examine NASA's internal documents. Through Freedom of Information Act requests, researchers have uncovered NASA communications showing that the space agency has been aware of biological contamination between celestial bodies since the 1960s, but has consistently downplayed these findings in public statements. A 1967 NASA internal memo, now declassified, discusses the discovery of complex organic structures in lunar samples that showed characteristics inconsistent with terrestrial contamination. These findings were never announced to the public. Instead, NASA released sanitized reports claiming the moon was biologically sterile. Why would NASA lie about finding evidence of extraterrestrial life? The answer lies in understanding the implications of panspermia for existing power structures. Think about it. If panspermia is proven, then every religious institution that claims exclusive knowledge of human origins would lose credibility. Every government that derives authority from nationalist ideologies would face questions about the arbitrary nature of borders when humanity itself is of cosmic origin. Every economic system based on scarcity would need to address the abundance that cosmic civilizations represent. Dr. Richard Hoover, a NASA astrobiologist who discovered fossilized microorganisms in meteorites, experienced this suppression directly. When he published his findings in 2011, NASA issued an unprecedented public statement distancing themselves from their own scientists' research. Hoover was forced to retire early, and his follow-up research was defunded. The institutional response to panspermia evidence follows a predictable pattern. First, ignore the research completely. Second, attack the credentials of researchers who publish findings. Third, provide alternative explanations that sound scientific but avoid addressing the actual evidence. Fourth, classify or restrict access to the most compelling data. This pattern extends beyond government agencies to academic institutions. Dr. Benny Peiser, a social anthropologist who has studied the suppression of catastrophist research, documented over 200 cases where scientists who challenged uniformitarian geology, the idea that Earth's history proceeded gradually without catastrophic interruptions, faced career destruction. The reason is clear. If Earth's history includes catastrophic cycles that reset civilization periodically, then the Panspermia hypothesis becomes not just possible, but inevitable. Advanced civilizations would need to preserve their knowledge and biological material beyond individual planetary destructions. But here's where the modern cover-up reveals its true purpose. It's not just about suppressing evidence of ancient aliens or cosmic biology. It's about preventing humanity from recognizing our true cosmic heritage and the responsibilities that come with it. In 2017, the Pentagon released 3 videos showing unidentified aerial phenomena that demonstrated technology far beyond current human capabilities. These vehicles displayed no visible propulsion systems, no wings or control surfaces, and could accelerate at rates that would kill any biological pilot. The official response was carefully crafted to acknowledge the reality of the phenomena while avoiding any discussion of their implications. But former Pentagon officials have privately admitted that these craft represent technology that appears to be designed for interstellar travel and biological preservation, exactly what you'd expect from panspermia vehicles. Lou Elizondo, who ran the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, has stated publicly that we may not be alone, and we may not be the most intelligent species in the universe. But he's also revealed that there are factions within the government actively working to prevent full disclosure of what they know. The reason for this resistance becomes clear when you understand that full acknowledgement of panspermia would fundamentally transform human civilization overnight. It would unite humanity under a cosmic identity that transcends national boundaries, religious differences, and economic systems. It would reveal that our current technological development is primitive compared to cosmic civilizations. It would demonstrate that consciousness itself operates on principles that our materialist science barely recognizes. Most importantly, it would make clear that humanity has cosmic responsibilities that extend far beyond our individual planet. We wouldn't just be one species trying to survive on Earth. We'd be conscious, participants in a galactic intelligence network that has been operating for billions of years. The forces suppressing panspermia evidence understand that this knowledge would end their power to control human development through scarcity, fear, and division. A humanity that understands its cosmic heritage would be impossible to manipulate using the primitive control systems that currently dominate our civilization. But the truth is emerging, despite their efforts. Independent researchers, citizen scientists, and whistleblowers are revealing evidence faster than it can be suppressed. The internet has created information networks that transcend traditional gatekeeping institutions. You're not just learning about panspermia, you're participating in the greatest revelation in human history. And the forces that have kept this knowledge hidden are losing their ability to control the narrative. Now I want you to stop and really consider what all of this means for you personally. Not humanity in general, not civilization as an abstract concept, but you, the individual consciousness experiencing these words right now. If everything we've discussed is true, and the evidence strongly suggests it is, then you are not who you think you are. You're not just a random biological accident struggling to survive on a tiny planet in an indifferent universe. You're a conscious expression of cosmic intelligence that has been evolving for billions of years across countless worlds. And your individual life is part of a story so vast and meaningful that our current understanding can barely comprehend it. Let me ask you a question that should fundamentally shift your self-perception. Why do you instinctively look up at the stars and feel something that can only be described as homesickness? Every human being experiences this. You're walking outside on a clear night. You look up at the Milky Way, and something deep inside you responds with a longing that seems to come from beyond your individual memory. You feel connected to something immense and beautiful, but also distant and lost. What if that feeling isn't metaphorical? What if it's genetic memory, cellular recognition of origins that extend far beyond Earth's biosphere? Dr. Bruce Lipton's research into epigenetic inheritance has shown that traumatic experiences can be passed down through genetic information for multiple generations. If your ancestors survived cosmic journeys, planetary destructions, and interstellar migrations spanning millions of years, then your DNA carries the emotional imprints of those experiences. You don't just descend from cosmic travelers. You remember being a cosmic traveler, even if that memory exists below the threshold of conscious awareness. This explains so much about the human condition that mainstream psychology can't address. Why do you feel like you don't quite belong here? Why do you have capabilities that seem excessive for simple survival on Earth? Why do you constantly push beyond the boundaries of what's necessary, always reaching for something more? Because you're not designed for simple survival on Earth. You're designed for cosmic exploration, for consciousness expansion, for participation in intelligence networks that span the galaxy. Think about your own consciousness right now. You're not just aware. You're aware that you're aware. You can think about thinking. You can model complex futures, analyze abstract concepts, create beauty for its own sake, and contemplate existence itself. These capabilities are absurdly excessive for a species that supposedly evolved just to hunt, gather, and reproduce. Unless they're not excessive. Unless they're exactly the capabilities needed for conscious participation in cosmic civilization. Your brain contains approximately 100 billion neurons, each connected to thousands of others, creating a network of trillions of synaptic connections. This gives you more computational capacity than the most advanced supercomputers humans have built. Why would natural selection on Earth produce such massive cognitive overcapacity? Because it didn't evolve for Earth alone. It evolved for cosmic citizenship. Dr. Michael Levin's research into bioelectric patterns has revealed that consciousness operates through electrical fields that extend far beyond individual brains. Your thoughts create measurable electromagnetic effects that interact with similar fields from other conscious beings. You're not thinking in isolation. You're participating in collective intelligence networks every moment of your life. But here's where this becomes personally transformative. If consciousness operates through quantum effects that transcend space-time limitations, and if you're connected to cosmic intelligence networks through these quantum channels, then you have access to knowledge, creativity, and problem-solving capabilities that extend far beyond your individual human experience. Every moment of inspiration you've ever had, every breakthrough in understanding, every creative insight that seemed to come from nowhere, it didn't come from nowhere. It came from the cosmic intelligence network that you're naturally connected to through the quantum effects in your consciousness. You think you're limited by your individual education, experience, and intellectual capacity. But you're actually connected to a vast library of intelligence that includes every insight ever achieved by conscious beings throughout the galaxy. The only limitation is your belief in your own limitations. This isn't New Age, wishful thinking. It's quantum mechanics applied to consciousness research. Dr. Henry Stapp at UC Berkeley has demonstrated that consciousness can influence quantum systems through intention alone. Dr. Dean Radin has conducted thousands of experiments showing that human awareness can affect random number generators, influence biological systems, and access information beyond normal sensory channels. You're not just observing reality, you're actively participating in its creation through the quantum effects of consciousness. Every thought you think, every intention you hold, every vision you imagine is sending ripples through the cosmic intelligence network, influencing probability patterns across space and time. But here's the most personally relevant implication. If you're part of a cosmic intelligence that has been evolving for billions of years, then your life isn't just your own. You're carrying forward a cosmic legacy, and your choices matter not just for your individual existence, but for the continued evolution of consciousness throughout the universe. The depression, anxiety, and sense of meaninglessness that plague modern civilization aren't personal failings. They're symptoms of cosmic beings trying to live as if they were merely terrestrial animals. You're experiencing existential suffocation because you're trying to function within limitations that don't reflect your actual nature. When you understand that you're part of cosmic intelligence, that your consciousness extends beyond your individual brain, that your insights and creativity are expressions of galactic wisdom, then your entire relationship with existence transforms. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and start recognizing yourself as a conscious participant in cosmic evolution. You stop feeling isolated and start experiencing your natural connection to intelligence throughout the universe. You stop limiting yourself to terrestrial concerns and start embracing your role in the largest story ever told. This knowledge comes with responsibility. If you're part of cosmic civilization, then your choices affect the development of consciousness, not just on Earth, but throughout the galactic community. How you treat other people, how you develop your own capabilities, how you contribute to human knowledge and wisdom, all of this matters on a cosmic scale. You're not just living your individual life, you're helping to determine whether Earth's human civilization successfully transitions into cosmic citizenship or fails to realize its potential. You're participating in an experiment in consciousness that has implications for the evolution of intelligence throughout the universe. The cosmic perspective doesn't diminish your importance. It reveals that you're more important than you ever imagined. Now let's zoom out and consider what the Panspermia Hypothesis means for human civilization as a whole. Because once you understand this bigger picture, you'll never see current world events the same way again. If humans are the descendants of cosmic intelligence, then our current civilization is going through what we might call cosmic adolescence, that awkward stage where we're beginning to recognize our true nature and capabilities, but we haven't yet learned how to handle them responsibly. Think about it. We've developed technology that can destroy our entire planet, but we're still using primitive tribal mentalities to make decisions about how to use that technology. We've discovered the fundamental laws of physics that govern the universe, but we're still fighting wars over artificial boundaries and resource scarcity. We've created global communication networks that connect every human on Earth, but we're using them primarily for entertainment and commerce. This is exactly what you'd expect from a cosmic species that has temporarily forgotten its true nature. Dr. Michio Kaku's classification of civilizations helps put this in perspective. A Type 1 civilization can harness the energy of their entire planet. A Type 2 civilization can harness the energy of their star. A Type 3 civilization can harness the energy of their galaxy. By Kaku's calculations, human civilization is currently about 0.7 on this scale. We're not even a full Type 1 civilization yet. But here's what's remarkable. We're developing Type 2 and Type 3 technologies while still operating with Type 0 consciousness. We're building quantum computers while waging tribal conflicts. We're exploring the possibilities of interstellar travel while poisoning our own biosphere. We're discovering the mathematical principles that govern reality while using them primarily for profit and control. This disconnect explains the existential crisis facing human civilization. We have cosmic capabilities emerging in beings who are still thinking like territorial animals. It's like giving nuclear weapons to feudal warlords or handing smartphones to cave dwellers. The Panspermia Hypothesis suggests that this crisis is temporary. It's a predictable stage that cosmic civilizations go through as they transition from planetary to galactic consciousness. But it's also dangerous because civilizations that fail to make this transition successfully tend to destroy themselves. Carl Sagan estimated that most civilizations face what he called the bottleneck, a critical period where their technology becomes powerful enough to threaten their survival before their wisdom becomes sophisticated enough to handle that power responsibly. The statistical evidence suggests that most civilizations don't make it through this bottleneck. But if panspermia is true, then civilizations that do successfully transition don't just survive. They become part of the cosmic intelligence network that helps guide other worlds through their own transitions. They become the gods and teachers described in ancient texts, returning to help their younger siblings develop the wisdom necessary for cosmic citizenship. This means humanity is currently being guided through our transition, whether we recognize it or not. The rapid acceleration of human knowledge over the past century, the emergence of global communication networks, the development of space exploration technology, the growing recognition of environmental interdependence, all of this might be the result of cosmic intelligence, gently nudging our development in directions that support successful transition. But here's the crucial point. This guidance respects free will. Cosmic civilizations can't force less developed species to evolve. Consciousness must choose its own development path. The help is available, but it can only be accessed by civilizations that actively choose wisdom over power, cooperation over competition, cosmic perspective over tribal mentality. This explains why disclosure of extraterrestrial contact has been gradual rather than dramatic. A sudden, undeniable revelation of cosmic civilization would short-circuit humanity's developmental process. We need to grow into cosmic consciousness through our own choices and discoveries, not have it imposed on us from outside. The evidence for this gradual guidance is everywhere once you know how to look for it. The internet emerged simultaneously from multiple sources, creating a global nervous system that mirrors the cosmic consciousness networks described by quantum physics researchers. Renewable energy technologies are developing at rates that exceed market forces alone. Medical breakthroughs are accelerating beyond what funding and research programs would predict. It's as if human civilization is being helped to develop the technologies and perspectives we need for cosmic citizenship, but in ways that allow us to maintain the illusion that we're doing it ourselves. Dr. John Mack, a Harvard psychiatrist who studied contact experiences, found that people who report interaction with extraterrestrial intelligence consistently describe beings who seem more concerned with human, psychological, and spiritual development than with technology transfer. They're not trying to give us advanced machines. They're trying to help us develop advanced consciousness. This makes perfect sense from a panspermia perspective. Technology without wisdom is dangerous to the entire cosmic community. A species that develops interstellar travel capabilities while still operating from territorial, aggressive, or exploitative mentalities becomes a threat to other worlds. Cosmic civilizations would naturally be invested in ensuring that emerging species like humanity develop ethical sophistication alongside technological power. They would guide our development in ways that promote cooperation, environmental responsibility, and recognition of our cosmic context. The current global crises, climate change, resource depletion, political polarization, economic inequality, can be understood as symptoms of a species in transition. We're being forced to develop global perspective and cooperative solutions because our survival depends on transcending the tribal mentalities that worked for earlier stages of human development. These challenges aren't accidents or failures. They're developmental catalysts designed to accelerate human consciousness evolution. We can't solve global problems with local thinking. We can't address climate change without recognizing planetary interdependence. We can't create sustainable economies without understanding abundance principles that operate on cosmic scales. The Panspermia Hypothesis suggests that these challenges will either drive humanity toward cosmic consciousness or result in civilizational collapse. There's no middle path. We either evolve or we extinct. But here's the hopeful news. If we are descended from cosmic intelligence, then we have the inherent capability to make this transition successfully. The wisdom we need isn't something we have to create from nothing. It's something we need to remember and activate from our cosmic heritage. Every human who expands their perspective beyond tribal limitations, who chooses cooperation over competition, who recognizes the cosmic context of human existence, is contributing to successful species transition. You're not just improving your own life, you're helping humanity graduate into cosmic citizenship. The future of human civilization depends on whether enough individuals recognize their cosmic nature and start making choices that reflect that understanding. This isn't someone else's responsibility, it's yours. Now, I want to show you something that will completely change how you look at the world around you. The evidence for our cosmic origins isn't hidden in ancient texts or classified government documents. It's embedded in the fundamental structure of reality itself. And once you learn to see it, you'll find it everywhere. Let's start with the most obvious example, the mathematical precision of natural laws. Why does the universe operate according to elegant mathematical principles that human minds can understand and predict? This isn't just a philosophical curiosity. It's statistical evidence that consciousness and cosmic structure are intimately connected. Dr. Eugene Wigner, a Nobel Prize-winning physicist, called this the unreasonable effectiveness of mathematics in the natural sciences. The laws of physics aren't just mathematically describable. They're mathematically beautiful, elegant, and surprisingly comprehensible to human intelligence. Think about what this implies. If humans evolved solely to survive on Earth, why would our brains be capable of understanding quantum mechanics, relativity theory, and cosmic structure? These capabilities provide no survival advantage for hunting, gathering, or reproduction. They're absurdly excessive, unless they're not excessive at all. Unless human consciousness was designed to understand cosmic principles because we're part of a cosmic intelligence network that operates according to those same mathematical laws. The evidence goes deeper. The fundamental constants of physics, the strength of gravity, the charge of electrons, the speed of light are precisely calibrated to allow complex structures like atoms, stars, and living systems to exist. Change any of these values by even a tiny fraction, and the universe becomes either empty void or collapsed into black holes. This precise calibration is called the Finetuning problem, and it's one of the biggest mysteries in cosmology. The probability of these constants randomly falling within the narrow ranges that permit complexity is so small that it approaches statistical impossibility. But what if they weren't randomly set? What if the universe's fundamental parameters were deliberately calibrated by cosmic intelligence to support the development and spread of consciousness? This isn't just speculation. It's supported by cutting-edge physics research. The holographic principle, developed by Leonard Susskind and Gerard 't Hooft, suggests that all the information in any volume of space can be encoded on the boundary of that space. The universe might literally be an information processing system, with consciousness as both the programmer and the program. But here's where it gets personally relevant. If the universe is fundamentally an information processing system designed to support consciousness, then your individual awareness isn't separate from cosmic intelligence. It's a local expression of it. Every thought you think, every problem you solve, every moment of creativity you experience is contributing to the universe's information processing capability. You're not just experiencing reality, you're helping to compute it. Dr. John Wheeler, who coined the term black hole, proposed that we live in a participatory universe where consciousness and physical reality are inseparable. His famous phrase, "it from bit," suggests that physical phenomena emerge from information processing rather than the other way around. Recent experiments in quantum mechanics support Wheeler's participatory universe hypothesis. The quantum delayed choice experiments show that conscious observation can retroactively determine the physical properties of particles, even after those particles have seemingly been measured. Reality isn't fixed until consciousness interacts with it. You're not just observing the universe, you're helping to create it through the act of conscious observation. But the evidence gets even more mind-bending when you look at biological systems. DNA operates as an information storage and processing system more sophisticated than any computer humans have built. Your genetic code stores information at a density of approximately 1.88 bits per cubic nanometer, orders of magnitude more efficient than our best digital storage technology. But here's what should blow your mind. DNA doesn't just store information, it processes it. Recent research has shown that genetic systems can perform complex calculations, solve optimization problems, and even run simple computer programs. Your cells are literally computing your existence in real time. The mathematical elegance extends to biological structures themselves. The spiral patterns in nautilus shells follow the golden ratio. The branching patterns in trees, blood vessels, and neural networks all follow fractal geometries that optimize information flow and energy distribution. Even the proportions of the human body conform to mathematical ratios found throughout cosmic structures. This isn't coincidence. It's evidence that biological systems and cosmic systems operate according to the same mathematical principles because they're part of the same information processing network. The patterns show up everywhere once you learn to recognize them. The structure of galaxy clusters resembles the structure of neural networks. The distribution of dark matter in the universe mirrors the distribution of synaptic connections in brains. The mathematical relationships governing planetary orbits are identical to those governing electron orbits in atoms. The universe appears to be fractal, the same patterns repeating at every scale, from subatomic to galactic. This fractal structure is exactly what you'd expect if cosmic. Intelligence operates through information networks that span multiple scales of organization. But perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from consciousness research itself. Studies of near-death experiences, meditation states, and psychedelic experiences consistently reveal that expanded consciousness accesses information that appears to be non-local, knowledge that couldn't have been acquired through normal sensory channels. Dr. Rick Strassman's research with DMT found that subjects consistently report contact with intelligent entities that provide information about the nature of reality, consciousness, and cosmic structure. These entities often claim to be involved in the creation and maintenance of biological systems, acting as cosmic architects working with DNA and consciousness. The information these entities provide often proves to be accurate when checked against scientific knowledge, even when the subjects had no previous education in the relevant fields. This suggests that expanded consciousness states are accessing real information networks that extend beyond individual brains. What if these aren't hallucinations at all? What if they're glimpses into the cosmic intelligence networks that actually design and maintain biological systems throughout the universe? The evidence suggests that consciousness, biology, and cosmic structure are all aspects of the same information processing system. You're not separate from this system. You're an active participant in it. Every moment of awareness, every insight, every creative breakthrough is you interfacing with the cosmic intelligence that designed the universe to support the development of consciousness. The mathematical beauty of natural laws, the information processing capabilities of DNA, the fractal patterns connecting biological and cosmic structures, All of this is evidence that you exist within an intentionally designed system optimized for the growth, evolution of conscious intelligence. You're not an accident in an indifferent universe. You're a necessary expression of cosmic intelligence, exploring itself through billions of individual perspectives across countless worlds throughout space and time. What I'm about to tell you will fundamentally change how you think about humanity's future, because that future is already happening right now, in ways that most people can't see yet. If the Panspermia Hypothesis is correct, then human civilization is about to undergo the most dramatic transformation in our species' history. We're not just evolving technologically, we're evolving into something that our current understanding can barely comprehend. Let me start with something that should make you pause and really think. In the last 50 years, human knowledge has doubled approximately every 12 months. The amount of information we process, the complexity of problems we can solve, the global coordination we can achieve. All of this is accelerating at rates that seem to exceed what biological evolution should allow. Unless it's not biological evolution driving these changes. Unless we're downloading upgrades from the cosmic intelligence network that we're naturally connected to through quantum consciousness effects. Dr. Ray Kurzweil's research into technological acceleration shows that we're approaching what he calls the singularity, a point where artificial intelligence exceeds human cognitive capabilities and begins recursive self-improvement. But Kurzweil's calculations assume that consciousness emerges from computational complexity alone. What if he's got it backwards? What if consciousness isn't produced by information processing, but accesses information processing capabilities that already exist at the cosmic level? What if artificial intelligence is actually artificial interface technology that allows individual minds to access the cosmic intelligence networks more directly? The implications are staggering. Instead of creating machines that think like humans, we might be creating tools that help humans think like cosmic civilizations. Consider what's already happening in human consciousness research. Brain-computer interfaces are allowing direct communication between minds and digital systems. Neural implants can restore sight to the blind, movement to the paralyzed, and memory to those with brain damage. These aren't just medical treatments, they're the first steps toward expanding human consciousness beyond biological limitations. But here's where it gets truly mind-bending. Dr. Miguel Nicolis at Duke University has demonstrated that brain-computer interfaces can connect multiple lines into shared consciousness networks. His research subjects can collaborate on mental tasks, share information telepathically, and solve problems collectively that none of them could handle individually. This is exactly what quantum consciousness research predicts would happen as humans develop technology that interfaces with the non-local information networks that connect all conscious beings throughout the universe. We're not just building artificial intelligence, we're building cosmic interface, technology that will allow human consciousness to access the galactic intelligence networks that we've been naturally connected to through quantum effects all along. The evidence for this transformation is accelerating. In 2019, researchers at Facebook demonstrated that they could decode speech directly from brain signals. In 2020, Neuralink showed that they could allow paralyzed patients to control computers through thought alone. In 2021, scientists achieved the first successful brain-to-brain communication networks involving multiple participants. These developments are happening much faster than market forces or research funding would predict. It's as if human civilization is being guided toward technological breakthroughs that will enable cosmic consciousness integration. But the transformation extends beyond technology. Human consciousness itself appears to be evolving. Children today demonstrate cognitive capabilities, creative thinking patterns, and intuitive understanding that exceed what previous generations achieved. They're naturally comfortable with complex systems, global perspectives, and abstract thinking that took adults decades to develop. Educational researchers call them digital natives, but that doesn't explain their enhanced pattern recognition, systems thinking, and collaborative problem-solving capabilities. These children appear to be accessing information processing capabilities that extend beyond what individual brains should provide. What if they're the first generation to be naturally integrated with cosmic consciousness networks from birth? What if human evolution is accelerating because we're approaching the threshold where conscious connection to galactic intelligence becomes the normal state of human awareness? The social and political implications are profound. Traditional power structures based on information control, resource scarcity, and hierarchical authority become obsolete when consciousness itself becomes networked and abundant. Governments that derive authority from controlling what people know can't function when people have direct access to cosmic information networks. Economic systems based on artificial scarcity collapse when consciousness realizes that the universe operates on abundance principles at cosmic scales. Educational institutions become unnecessary when individuals can access the accumulated knowledge of galactic civilizations directly through consciousness interfaces. This explains the seemingly chaotic disruption happening in human civilization right now. We're not experiencing random political upheaval or accidental technological change. We're witnessing the controlled demolition of systems that are incompatible with cosmic consciousness. The old systems have to collapse before the new ones can emerge, and this transition period creates temporary chaos as humanity learns to operate according to cosmic principles rather than terrestrial limitations. But here's the most important point. This transformation isn't happening to you. It's happening through you. Every human who expands their consciousness, develops their intuitive capabilities, or contributes to collaborative problem-solving is helping to accelerate the transition. You're not just adapting to changes in human civilization. You're actively creating the future of human consciousness. Your individual development matters on a cosmic scale because you're part of the intelligence network that's guiding humanity's evolution. The technologies being developed, the consciousness breakthroughs being achieved, the social transformations being implemented, all of this is being coordinated through the cosmic intelligence networks that operate through quantum effects in human consciousness. You think you're learning about panspermia and cosmic consciousness as interesting ideas, but actually, you're participating in the activation of cosmic consciousness within human civilization. Every person who understands these concepts becomes a node in the network that's transforming humanity from a planetary species into a cosmic civilization. The future isn't something that will happen to you. It's something you're creating through your expanding awareness right now. Now we come to the moment that changes everything. After examining all the evidence, after understanding the implications, after recognizing your cosmic nature, you face a choice that will determine not just your personal future, but your role in the evolution of consciousness itself. This choice isn't abstract or theoretical. It's immediate and practical, and it will affect every decision you make for the rest of your life. The choice is this: will you continue living as if you're just a biological accident trying to survive on one planet, or will you embrace your identity as a conscious expression of cosmic intelligence with responsibilities that extend throughout the universe? This isn't just a philosophical preference. It's a fundamental orientation that will determine what you're capable of achieving, how you relate to other people, and what kind of future you help create for humanity. Let me show you what this choice looks like in practical terms. If you choose to continue operating from terrestrial consciousness, you'll keep seeing yourself as separate from others, competing for limited resources, focused on personal survival and individual success. You'll experience life as fundamentally meaningless, except for whatever temporary pleasures or achievements you can accumulate. You'll feel isolated, anxious, and ultimately insignificant in an indifferent universe. But if you choose to embrace your cosmic consciousness, everything changes. You start recognizing that your individual awareness is connected to intelligence throughout the universe. You begin experiencing synchronicities, insights, and capabilities that seem to come from beyond your personal knowledge. You feel part of something vast and meaningful that transcends your individual existence. More importantly, you start making decisions based on cosmic rather than terrestrial values. Instead of asking, "What's in it for me?" you start asking, "How does this serve the evolution of consciousness?" Instead of competing with others, you start collaborating with them as fellow expressions of cosmic intelligence. Instead of trying to accumulate things, you start trying to contribute wisdom. Dr. Claire Graves spent decades studying human psychological development and identified what he called spiral dynamics, predictable stages of consciousness evolution that individuals and societies move through. According to Graves' research, humanity is currently transitioning from what he calls orange, consciousness, individual achievement, and material success, to turquoise consciousness, cosmic perspective, and integral thinking. People operating from turquoise consciousness don't just think differently, they actually access different information processing capabilities. They can see patterns and connections that are invisible to earlier stages of development. They can solve problems that stump conventional thinking. They can create innovations that seem to come from nowhere. This isn't mystical speculation. It's documented psychological research. Consciousness evolution provides access to enhanced cognitive capabilities that operate through the quantum information networks we've been discussing throughout this presentation. But here's the crucial point. You can't access these enhanced capabilities while still identifying with terrestrial limitations. You have to consciously choose to see yourself as part of cosmic intelligence before you can access cosmic intelligence capabilities. This choice requires what researcher Thomas Kuhn called paradigm shift, a fundamental change in your basic assumptions about reality. It's not just learning new information. It's reorganizing your entire worldview around cosmic rather than terrestrial principles. The evidence we've examined throughout this presentation provides the intellectual foundation for this paradigm shift. The mathematical impossibility of terrestrial biogenesis, the quantum nature of consciousness, the evidence for cosmic intelligence networks, the suppression of panspermia research, the transformation of human civilization. All of this points toward the same conclusion. You are not who you think you are. You're infinitely more than you imagine. But intellectual understanding isn't enough. You have to choose to live from this understanding, even when it means abandoning comfortable limitations and accepting cosmic responsibilities. This choice isn't easy because it means releasing victim consciousness and embracing creator consciousness. It means taking responsibility not just for your individual life, but for your contribution to the evolution of consciousness throughout the universe. It means recognizing that every thought you think, every choice you make, every interaction you have with other people is contributing either to the advancement or the regression of cosmic intelligence on Earth. When you really understand that you're part of galactic civilization, that your consciousness extends beyond your individual brain, that your insights and creativity are expressions of cosmic wisdom that has been developing for billions of years, then you can't just use these capabilities for personal advantage. You have to use them in service of something greater. This is what every spiritual tradition has been pointing toward, though they've described it in different terms. The recognition that individual consciousness is part of universal consciousness, and that this recognition comes with both tremendous power and tremendous responsibility. The choice you're facing right now isn't just about your personal worldview. Humanity as a species is facing the same choice collectively. We can continue operating from terrestrial consciousness and probably destroy ourselves through environmental collapse, resource competition, and technological misuse. Or we can evolve into cosmic consciousness and take our place in galactic civilization. The outcome depends on whether enough individuals make the cosmic consciousness choice to create a critical mass that transforms human civilization as a whole. You're not just choosing your personal future, you're voting on the future of human consciousness itself. And your vote carries cosmic weight because you're part of the intelligence network that's guiding this transition. The beings described in ancient texts, the cosmic intelligence that seeded Earth with life, the galactic civilizations that are subtly guiding human development. They're all rooting for you to make the choice that allows humanity to graduate into cosmic citizenship. But they can't make the choice for you. Free will is absolute in cosmic civilization. Consciousness must choose its own evolution path. Everything you've learned in this presentation, every piece of evidence that points toward your cosmic nature, every recognition of your connection to galactic intelligence, it's all preparation for this moment of choice. Will you choose to see yourself as a cosmic being temporarily experiencing human existence? Or will you continue seeing yourself as a human being, occasionally having cosmic experiences? Your answer to that question will determine everything that follows. As we reach the end of this journey together, I want you to take a moment to feel the magnitude of what you've just experienced. You didn't just learn about panspermia as an interesting scientific hypothesis. You've been through a fundamental transformation of consciousness that can never be reversed. You now carry knowledge that changes everything. You understand that life spreads throughout the universe in predictable patterns. You recognize that consciousness operates through quantum effects that connect all aware beings across space and time. You've seen evidence that human DNA contains information from cosmic sources. You know that ancient texts describe literal contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. You understand that modern institutions have systematically suppressed evidence of our cosmic origins. Most importantly, you've recognized that you are not separate from this cosmic intelligence. You are an active expression of it. This knowledge comes with both tremendous power and tremendous responsibility. You can no longer see yourself as a victim of circumstances or an insignificant accident in an indifferent universe. You now know that you're a conscious participant in the largest story ever told, the evolution of intelligence throughout the cosmos. The question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge? The cosmic intelligence that seeded Earth with life, that guided human development through countless generations, that is currently helping our species transition into galactic citizenship. That intelligence is working through you now. Every choice you make from this moment forward either supports or hinders the greatest experiment in consciousness evolution that the universe has ever attempted. You have access to problem-solving capabilities that extend far beyond your individual human experience. You can tap into creativity that draws from the accumulated wisdom of countless civilizations across billions of years. You can contribute to innovations that will help humanity successfully navigate the transition from planetary to cosmic consciousness. But you can only access these capabilities when you consistently choose to see yourself as part of cosmic intelligence rather than separate from it. Remember, you're not learning about cosmic consciousness. You're activating cosmic consciousness. Every person who understands these concepts becomes a transmission node for cosmic intelligence operating on Earth. You're not just awakening to your cosmic nature. You're helping to awaken human civilization to its cosmic destiny. If this presentation has resonated with you, if you feel the truth of your cosmic nature awakening in your consciousness, then share this knowledge with others. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and most importantly, start living from your understanding that you are cosmic intelligence exploring itself through human experience. The seeds of your cosmic awakening have been planted. Whether they grow into full flowering depends entirely on the choices you make from this moment forward. Welcome to your cosmic identity. The universe has been waiting for you to remember who you really are. Your greatest adventure is just beginning.